So we have Tausif over here from Spire Data, and we're talking about their participation at GISEC this year and the importance of data privacy and governance. So thank you, Tausif, once again for speaking to us.
Thank you, pleasure is mine.
Thank you. We'd like to start with a brief about your participation at the event this year. What is the theme of your participation?
So, like our parent company Spires Solution is predominantly cybersecurity, and we are ever present in this market like last 14 plus years. But in last couple of years, we have, I would say, ventured into data space, and the main reason is it's a cybersecurity is actually part of data stream as well, because you at the end of the day are analyzing and visualizing something which is happening in terms of cybersecurity. This year, it has been specifically more about where these two merge, like where the data stream and the cybersecurity stream meet. That's the data privacy and governance part. So this year, as part of our participation of GISEC, it's more towards privacy and governance. We are coming up with something as a framework which could help organization to look at the cybersecurity from privacy and governance perspective. Meanwhile, the data management teams can still be capable to drive their data analytics. So yeah, that's what I would say this year our theme is all about.
Why is there an importance on data privacy and governance in this day and age, and is it because there's been a change in how it is perceived?
Oh, very interesting question. So data privacy, or let's say privacy, has been predominantly or traditionally a topic, right? So it's something which everybody has considered from 1965s. But what happens now is with the advent of big data, now like meanwhile you and me, we are speaking, millions of texts are being flowing, photos are being like passed on, and then tweets are done. But like right now when we are getting interviewed, we might have something in the back end which might have not given his own consent for getting captured. So this is actually a breach in terms of privacy. So people right now are quite like using a personal data without the consent of a person is becoming an issue. For example, like when we do some kind of search on Google, or when we do something else, when we give our location to certain app as part of just posting it on Instagram or a tweet, but we haven't given a consent that the same thing can be used by that app to sold it to ad agencies who can be using it. So what's happening now is the human element, like we are now getting sold as a unit to somebody as an advertising agency, and if this done without the consent becomes a privacy issues. So the countrywide or global wide, this has been an initiative that let people have control over their privacy. It means that the information which gets flown from the personal aspect should be controlled by the person himself. He should know what has. So this now the governments have taken seriously. So they are coming up with new privacy laws which are modern in terms of understanding what is the spectrum and the technology perspective. So yes, to answer your question, it has been something which is predominantly there or traditionally there, but right now it has been taken more seriously with the advent of big data.
Okay. Over the past couple of years, we've seen the amount of data that is being generated has increased, but of course, the central repository that used to be there in a corporate network is not there anymore because many of them are working from home, other parts of the region, stuff like that. So, when you speak to your customers, or what kind of challenges are they facing in terms of data privacy and governance, and how can you help them, address those challenges?
So again, when you talk about data governance and privacy, first thing what you say, right? The governance was all about when we are getting the data which is coming from multiple sources. So let's say like when big data came into picture, it was about three things: volume, velocity, and variety. We were able to take care of it, but what problem came with it is like, how do we get actually a business value out of it? And that was only possible when we understand that data well, and that's only possible when we really take care of the governance part of it, like where did it came from, how the integrity of this data is affected, how do we ensure the quality is there, how the business rules were coming in. So these small aspects were taken care. So that's where governance came into picture.
True.
That's where governance was very important element, that who are the data owners, how the data is getting transformed, and how the integrity of data is getting stored. But this was all taken care by data management teams.
Okay.
And privacy suddenly comes as a part, which is regulation, compliance. This sits with the cybersecurity team, because they are the people who are the front runners when it comes to, okay, somebody asks you about regulation, they'll be people who will be front facing it. So suddenly privacy guy says, guys, now when you're sitting outside of the office, my data is at stake. So it's not only a data security issue, later on it can be a privacy issue, because some of the elements of not only a corporate perspective but some other perspective might get exposed because we are working from outside. So now they went to data guys and asked, how do we now combine each other? And now these two worlds which used to like work completely in silo, thought, how do we come together? And then came the framework, then came multiple tools, then came a practice which would allow this to happen seamlessly, and that's what we are focusing.
Okay. Okay, so when you talk about the strategies as Spire Data, for the rest of the year, what is in your mind in terms of how companies approach the topic of data privacy and governance?
So, as I see, right? So, privacy is something which had been predominantly in the Europe and US side. People are aware that what kind of rights they have. Like recently there were lawsuits on Facebook and Google, and people are asking what kind of data you actually capture. But is that awareness in our region? Is this something which is present in our region? Right now, no. But what if the awareness is created? What if the end user, a customer, a consumer, or a data producer is being made aware that whatever data he generates, he has a right to control it? Then are companies ready for it? Do companies have a framework where somebody says that, okay, I want to know what data of mine is captured by you? What is my private data which you have? That is PII, personal identifying data. So do you have it? So is there a framework which is what we call in our way, in our language, privacy by design, existing in your organization? This is one first question which they have to answer. So there's a dual awareness now. One awareness on the consumer side or the data producer side. The awareness has to come within the team members of data cybersecurity of the corporate organization. Second thing is the second side of things, where the organization comes into picture. They have to now come up with a framework which says privacy by design. It's not something like, okay, we do as part of audits, but when we are designing our end-to-end data management or cybersecurity systems, we have something which is privacy by design. Okay. So it is something like it is default and automated. Then the third part comes in, okay, how well prepped they will be to handle the data privacy request. So tomorrow if I say, and I go and file a complaint that my data to certain organization or a certain bank or certain retail agency, I gave it, and somehow I thought or I think is being used to some purpose which I didn't intend it for. So if that kind of request is made, the bank should be able to return, or the retail agency should be able to return or come back to that request within 72 hours. Is that something possible now? I don't think so. Because if you ask me in terms of data maturity itself, very few organizations have that end-to-end data governance. And cybersecurity setup is still very operational. So this area is somewhere where, first awareness has to come in. Secondly, the architecture and framework has to be well understood. And then third thing, it will take some time to make it operational. So that's the journey, I would say, where Spire Data definitely wants to be part of it. We already have went ahead. We already have a framework which allows you to, right from the beginning, capture, classify, manage the access across different applications, comply. Again, when it comes to audit reporting, automated audited reports, and then create and train. So create those applications and train end-to-end users on data privacy. That's what we are, doing it right now as well in certain organizations, helping them to be compliant to laws like PDPL in Saudi. So we are there, but I would say it's a journey.
Okay. Thank you, Tausif, once again for speaking to us.
Pleasure is all mine.
Nice having you with us today, and we look forward to speaking to you in the future as well.
Definitely, anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.